In the fire service, we go on a lot of different call types. We go on car accidents and fires and medical aid calls. If we get the 911 call that there's a cardiac arrest in progress, we know that one of our citizens is in need, and it's truly life and death. We have the ability to have a large impact on the people that we serve. By having this event, we're highlighting citizen CPR, we're highlighting community AEDs, because electricity being applied to a heart that's in cardiac arrest is critical. Improving the 911 response, improving the recognition that a cardiac arrest is occurring, and getting us dispatched as fast as possible are all elements to improving our cardiac arrest care. We're about to share some of the stories from the cardiac arrest survivors in the room. It's a very sensitive and difficult moment for anybody, especially somebody that's not trained to do some of the things that they did. I have a lot of respect for the family members that cared for their loved ones in this moment. What they did in that moment was incredible. Thank you for watching.
Before this took place, we're just talking about gardening and planting stuff, and Steve's always working outside, doing landscaping, things like that, and I'm always outside working. And we got done talking. Steve went over with the pickaxe to do some work and glanced over at Steve, and he swung the axe one time and just went over backwards, was just out. So we immediately jumped over the fence and got over there. Got him, repositioned him a little bit to see what was going on. His wife and daughter and son-in-law, I think, were, over in the driveway. My son started CPR right away, and I went back over the fence to the truck. I was the gopher to run back and forth, getting things, opening gates, and keeping the wife informed of what we were doing. And everything just happened so fast. It's like your instinct has to kick in.
My wife had asked me if she wouldn't mind if I would plant some shrubs. So I went down to grab the pick. That's all I kind of remember is, I just didn't remember a lot until I got home. And I guess I came to the realization I'm really thankful for what I have, because I know I could have not been here. And I have 6 wonderful grandkids and 4 children. And a beautiful wife, and we've been married for 31 years. I'm really thankful, again, for my neighbor and her son, and of course the paramedics for being there and taking care of my needs. There's nothing I could have done. I mean, my life was in their hands, so I'm truly thankful.
Well, it's been a while since I've thought about, everything that's happened, but I think I was mostly scared because I didn't know what was really happening. But then when she turned blue and started to have convulsions and things were happening, my first initial emotion was scared, but I have to do something. I can't let her be this way. I knew a little bit of formal CPR, not very much. Probably a lot from movies. I kind of know what to do, but to actually do it and have someone in front of you have that reaction sort of, and then actually doing it is hard. The people that came, they were great. I mean, everything was a rush, so I didn't really know what was going on because I left it to them. I have my son next to me crying. I got my mom, and we had the chaplain trying to tell us, what could happen. So a lot of things were running through my mind, probably the worst, but at the same time, they were very nice, and they kind of like talk you through certain things, where they're gonna go, after this, and so on and so forth. So I think they did a great job, to be honest with you.
He felt good despite being on chemo for several weeks. His doctor said he could do physical activity, so he went out and mowed half the lawn, came in, we ate dinner, watched a movie, went to bed, was watching a movie in bed, and it ended, and he just went into the bathroom, and I just heard a thunk. And I called his name. I was right there, and he didn't answer. So when I walked in, I saw him, his eyes rolled back in his head and agonal breathing, tried to take a pulse on him. It was really irregular. And so, I had to call Jason, James's adult son who lives with us, had to call him in to help me get him on the floor so I could start CPR. We are so lucky because we live really close to one of the stations, and they were able to be there in what seemed like 5 minutes. I don't know how long it was, but it seemed very short. And they just took over, and it was beautiful because they had the stuff I didn't to be able to help him.
Been out of breath for about a week, and I'm stubborn, of course, so I don't say anything to anybody. I knew I had a doctor's appointment coming in about a month. Go to work, and I'm just dragging like crazy. We were pulling Scotch broom. If you know what that is, it's just horrible. So I'm pulling these root balls out, pulling them out, and my operator says, maybe I need you to sit down for a sec. So I walk past the escalator, or the excavator, and I just remember hitting my face, just starting to just lose it. And that's all I remembered until I woke up with the paramedics on me, complaining not to fall back to sleep. And at some point I fell back to sleep. I woke up the next morning and I had my family around me, and I was like, so glad to be here. These guys are just incredible people.
I woke up in the hospital. I don't know what day it is. They pulled out the intubation tube, and I woke up, and I see my besties, Carolyn, Marlee, Tara, my son, and spontaneously I say, Carolyn, Marlee, Tara, and you are? And my son that was not the right thing to do, and I could tell by his face. He was not amused. And then I had found out that they did not know if there was going to be brain damage or not. So I know nothing of that week. I remember nothing. But fortunately, I'm OCD about my day planner. When I got home the 15th, so I was in the hospital Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, they did a stent. And then I got to go home Monday. And of course, my son is there every day, and he brings me home, and we have the oxygen, and we have all that stuff. And I have this life vest on, it's called. So I'm informed that at any time it could happen again. And primarily the problem is I don't know anything about it. I had parked at my son's office, Momentum Chiropractic, but I parked on the west side. They all park on the east side, and on Thursdays, they don't get there till a little later. I'm there at 10. I could have dropped in the parking lot. I could have dropped in the car. So there was some divine intervention going on, because what I'm told is that I walked up to the gate. I worked for Cow Chip Cookies. My shift was at noon. I wanted to get there an hour and a half early. Remember, this is my day timer reminding me, because I am not conscious of the fact I spoke to the drummer. I am not conscious of the fact of any of it, and I walked in and dropped. Fireman John had said he was going to go to the Golden Gate, hopped in the cart, so he was there. And all I know is I wake up on Saturday.
I was pretty terrified throughout the whole thing, because he was, turning blue and purple. His lips were turning different colors, and I was pretty sure he was dead, and I was doing CPR on my, dead father. He was in the restroom, and I heard him choking, basically. He's had stage 4 throat cancer in the past, and he's recovered as of 5 years ago. He had, had treatment and all that. We now think it was a mucus plug that caused it, and so he couldn't breathe, basically, because it was plugging the airway. And then he fell in the bathroom. I pulled him out to a place where I could kind of perform CPR better. And it was about 5 to 6 minutes, I'd say, of CPR. And I got a weak pulse. I would check pulse, every 30 seconds to a minute about. And I got a weak pulse and kept doing it. And then I would lose pulse again, and then it came back. Or it might have just been weak, and I couldn't, totally feel it when it felt like it went away. But I kept, using the ambu bag in place of that, because it has a trach tube, and then doing compressions, and I felt more relieved somewhat when the paramedics arrived, but even then, he's there on the ground, shirt off, and, they're doing AED on him and stuff, so it was still terrifying throughout the whole thing. And I wasn't totally sure he'd even survived, the ambulance ride to the hospital. I think the aftermath was harder to deal with. There's not exactly a manual or handbook on how to deal with the after effects of it, or being in the same place after, seeing I saw the jacket that they cut off of him on the ground when I went back after he was at the hospital, and that sort of thing was, and we still didn't know if he would survive at that point. So that sort of thing I think was actually harder than the actual CPR itself, because it felt more like it really did feel like a dream state, is how I would describe it. I felt very supported, and I felt confident that I was able to, kind of direct my grandparents at the time and what to do. And then when Central Pierce arrived, they took over the scene completely, and they had me keep using the ambu bag on him. But I feel pretty well prepared now, I'd say. I mean, you hope you can do it again, and I think I could. You don't know how you'll react in the moment, of course, but I think I probably could. And I want to get, recertified in CPR every so often, just so I keep my skills sharp in case it happens, 10, 20 years in the future and I'm a bystander. And I encourage everyone to.
What if that was you? Would you want to have a cardiac arrest and no one help you, even though they're standing over the top of you? You should do something, no matter who it is. Even if you don't like them or whatever, you should do something. It's another human being.
My daughter, when she prayed a lot, when I was in that ambulance, and she was, a support too, and I feel like that pulled me through too, being a Christian and putting my faith in God more. And I think that's my strength, the strength that's helped me through this. So
I am so incredibly grateful to my son right off the bat. He's there for everything. My daughter-in-law, who provided the most beautiful foods you could have. She should cook in a restaurant. My son's patients, his staff, Sarah, his patients that brought food, brought well wishes. I didn't have to do anything. All of our place on this earth is to be kind and gracious to each other, because that's all we have.
I kind of feel like all my training and everything just came together and started the process, to save him. And, and everybody was on board with that. That was their one objective. And so, looking back, it's very nostalgic almost to know that there are those humans like you speak of that have the bar set high within themselves to not just get educated, but perform at that level. And so for me, I was just grateful. I've been a huge advocate for, CPR and AEDs and everywhere. We have to be prepared for all of that, all of us as a community, so.
Don't hesitate. Just do the best you can. People are concerned about hurting somebody when they start doing CPR and all. Just keep all that out of your mind. Just do the best you can and make sure you got the proper training. Most people would be real hesitant, I think, whether it's to call 911 just to wait and see what happens or whatever. That's just got to be a natural reaction, and everybody should know this stuff because you just never know what goes on. So.